Alrighty, here we go for the third time on one subject. The subject is WFAN, the radio station, New York City Sports Talk, New York City that you've been listening to maybe since 1987, when somebody named Susan Waldman ushered the whole thing in July 1st, I think it was, 1987, when she took to the airwaves, and we had an all-sports radio station that we thought would never last because this whole format was supposedly not going to work, but it actually did work. And Susan Waldman, Susan Waldman, she actually ushered the whole thing in by being on the air July 1st. Well, we talked about it in two prior videos, all the goings on of the station in the recent past. Today I want to focus on something that's very interesting, I hope. I hope it's interesting to you. It's interesting to me. The way WFAN treats their fans, specifically the way they treat their callers. The way every host takes it upon himself or herself to actually handle the callers, which are the lifeblood of WFAN. You see the name, WFAN. WFAN, fan, standing for fanatic, sports fanatic. I don't really consider myself a fanatic for anything, but I guess if I'm a fanatic for something, when I call a sports station, I guess you can call me a fan, a rabid fan, because, I'm talking about my teams, I'm talking about all the players, the fat cat players, I'm talking about all their ridiculous salaries, I'm talking about everything under the sun with WFAN, and it's a beautiful thing. Mostly it's a beautiful thing, but it hasn't been very beautiful in the recent past, and that's what I was talking about in two prior videos. This is number 3. The fan, the caller specifically, forget the listener for now, who kind of listens on this thing. They don't listen on the radio anymore. We listen in a myriad of ways these days. We don't really focus on the radio, which is all well and good. People, we change. The caller gets short shrift on this once great station. Now, the caller has, to a certain extent, always gotten short shrift on this radio station, which is understandable. The host is the centerpiece of any specific program. But the caller, I would say, is the lifeblood of the whole thing. And I would also say that people actually tune in not so much for the host. Yes, they do to a certain extent, but not so much for the host. They tune in to hear their favorite caller. They tune in to hear Dennis in Yonkers, who's a little bit pompous. They tune in to hear, Richard in Manhattan. They tune in sometimes to hear Ralph in Manhattan. Who knows? Maybe some goofball out there actually enjoys my calls. I have no idea. But the fan, the caller, is the lifeblood of the whole thing. But the hosts, unfortunately, they don't see it that way. They just don't see it that way. They see us, or you, as props. Francesa, in his infinite wisdom, you remember him, right? The Grouch? Francesa said at one time that the callers were just props. And you know something? I didn't take it too seriously. He was right. I've hosted radio shows before, not necessarily sports, although I did a stint, but also, political stuff and this kind of thing. And, I've always given way to the caller, because the caller, again, I recognize as the lifeblood of the whole thing. And like I was saying before, we want to hear the callers. When I hear the station, I want to hear the callers. I don't want to hear some crackpot sports writer talking about the team that I know about for 25 minutes. I don't want to hear an update, which they did away with, which is a good thing, for, every 20 minutes, which they used to do foolishly. They used to have an update, 2020 update. No offense to Bob Usler. No offense to all those great guys, Richard Ackerman. But they had updates far too many times. They finally did away with that kind of thing, which is a good thing. But the caller is still getting short shrift. And you know something? As we go forward with this whole thing, and the new blood that you love so much that I really have no use for, most of the talent right there, the new blood couldn't care less about those taking the time to dial the phone 100 times to try to get through busy signal after busy signal. You press quick dial, quick speed dial 100 times. You may take 20 minutes to try to get through to your favorite radio station, but they don't care. I mean, they don't care. You'll wait forever, and it's the nature of the whole thing. You'll wait forever, and they'll give you maybe a few statements. There are a few hosts that are guilty, that are working right now of this more so than others. The guy that comes to mind is Chris McMonagle, and he's a joke. Monologue, Chris McMonologue, monologue. A little time for the callers. We'll squeeze the callers in at the end of the segment. We'll squeeze a couple of calls in here. I hate to do it. Acting as he does. I hate to do it, but we'll squeeze a couple of these numbskulls in to get, hey, that's not what it's all about. It's WFAN. I don't mean to single out Chris, but my God, you got to understand. You got to make this thing work a little bit. You got to make this thing bounce a little bit. You got to make this thing go back and forth a little bit. I'm not that passionate about this as I once was, but it sounds like I am. I'm kind of passionate. I enjoy making these things because I know I'm speaking for a few. And by the way, the last time I made a mistake, and my grammar is pretty darn good. I made a mistake, and I said, what was the word that I said that everybody got on me for? I cannot remember now, but you'll remind me. But here I was actually mispronouncing the word 2 or 3 times, and I can't remember now. But and I know what it was. I was saying regulate instead of relegate a couple of times, and man, did they get on me. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean anything. The caller is they just spit on the caller. Metaphorically, they just spit on the caller. They don't mean anything. But the listener, the caller means everything to the listener. The listener actually listens, like I said before, to hear the caller. And again, this is not 100% across the board. This is not something I'm saying in an all-encompassing way where everybody believes this. I'm saying for the most part, most people listen to the station not to hear the loudmouth host, not to hear, barking about the team by the host, by the duo. No, they listen to hear the callers. They enjoy all the personalities. The New York personalities are so beautiful. New York personalities are unlike any other personalities. You got the guy from Brooklyn that has the bad accent. You got the guy from Queens that has a bad accent. It's a beautiful thing. You got the guy from New Jersey that kind of talks like this. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. The King's English for New York, right? It's gorgeous. It's fantastic. This is what lends spice to the whole thing. This is what should be focused on, magnified. It should be the centerpiece of the whole thing, but it's not, unfortunately. And the flow of the radio program has to be kept in mind. You have to keep the thing moving. You don't take a call and then go into a 10-minute monologue, take another call and then go to commercial. There's so many commercials to begin with, which is understandable. You need to pay the bills. But you have to feature the callers a little bit. And it's not just because I'm a caller. It's mostly because I like to listen to the other callers. It's not even for me as much. But as soon as the guy or woman, in a rare case, is making a point of some kind, that's it. They unceremoniously ditch the caller. And I have no idea why. Now, the whole thing behind it, I was thinking of naming specific hosts, and we'll go down the line. Maybe it'll be on another video for another day. But to just encapsulate what I just said for the last 8-9 minutes. WFAN, fan, WFAN, highlighting those who listen to the programs, highlighting the callers, back and forth, call-in radio in the traditional sense. Traditionally, here's one more thing also that really gets my goat. These duos that they insist on having, these duos all the time. 2 guys behind a microphone constantly, or a guy and a woman behind a microphone constantly. You know what when this format works the best? One person, solo, by him or herself, behind a microphone and the caller. One person pontificating, talking, blabbing, yapping about sports, taking calls. One person behind the microphone and the caller. That's when this whole format that we love so much works beautifully. But they don't get that. Always, there's some reason financially. I mean, they're costing themselves more money in paying these people, but there's some reason financially why they do the duo. Maybe somebody can tell me why they have two people. They insist on having two people behind the microphone. This thing works better with one person at the helm and a caller. That's how it works. That's how it should work. And sports talk can't be taken too seriously. I know I sound like I'm taking it very seriously, but as soon as this video's over, we'll go on to other things. But I'm just telling you, take your sports for what they are, my opinion, just a guy. Take the sports for what they are and leave it alone. But if we're going to do it, and we're going to do it on that thing that Marconi envisioned and actually created many years ago, radio, let's do it right. Let's do it right. And let's focus, not be so selfish, and focus on the callers once in a while. All right. Hey, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Like the video if you like the video. And comment down below. Look at the PayPal for generous donations. I want to keep this thing hopping. I want to keep it going. I really appreciate it. And by the way, this whole thing has been great. I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.